Well, hello there. I hope you can see me. Can you see me okay? Welcome again. You're watching Visits with Santa in my private study, my private studio. You can see it's snowing outside still. It's going to be a good winter, lots of snow. But Santa likes it cold. This is episode 2, season 4. Santa's been doing these now for a few years, and I hope you enjoy them. Pass the word. You'll be able to view this on Santa's Facebook page, I Believe in Santa, Ho Ho Ho. Or the best place probably is on YouTube, Santa's YouTube channel, Santa Jeff Claus. Santa Jeff Claus, where you can see all of Santa's past visits with you. And they go back now a couple of years. So again, for those of you who are returning viewers, I really thank you for watching. Our purpose in doing these is simply to try to bring a little bit of joy and happiness and a little bit of relief from our busy, busy world of activity. Let's get started, shall we? For those of you who are returning, and those of you who are new, last week in episode 1, we reviewed a few things about what we'd done last year and the year before and so on and so forth. And I introduced Santa Reads. I think you can go onto my YouTube channel and watch Santa read Christmas stories. In fact, last week, between last week and today, Santa was able to post this story that he read. It's a wonderful story called Dasher. I don't know if you can see Santa and Dasher here in the forest. It's just a wonderful, wonderful story. Santa also read the sequel to A Christmas Wish. Anya, a real girl, and her life where she lives in the cold, cold north, near the North Pole. And her only wish was to go and see Santa, which she did. But I would invite you to go ahead and watch Santa read that. It's a lovely, lovely story. Her mom writes the stories, her dad does the artwork and takes the photos. But this is the sequel. It's called A Reindeer Wish. And you can go on to Santa's YouTube channel, Santa Jeff Claus, and watch Santa read this story about Anya finding a baby reindeer, a red cardinal, meeting Santa after raising the baby reindeer, and the reindeer becoming a part of Santa's reindeer, my team of reindeer that flies around the world on Christmas. So visit Santa's YouTube channel, Jeff Claus, and you can see Santa reading these books. And you can't see, but I have a stack of about 30 other books here. Today, in a little bit, I introduced Laura Ingalls Wilder last week, the famous author of the Little House on the Prairie books. You may have watched some of those TV shows or read all of those books, but she wrote she wrote a Christmas story. And so in a few minutes, I'll read a chapter if we have time. Maybe two, we'll see. Chapter 1, Christmas in the Big Woods. And chapter 2 is The Cousins. So remind me to read that to you. We always begin our broadcast with this wonderful snow globe. Can you hear? It's playing one of Santa's favorite songs. Here comes Santa Claus. Just a few weeks I'll be flying around the world delivering presents to all those children and adults who believe. Last week as well, I introduced the Santa Tale. True story, as I travel around the world, and in the summertime especially, when I'm not doing Christmas things, and overseeing and supervising the elves in the North Pole, in the workshop building things, I travel the world. Incognito, do you remember that word? That means not in my fancy red suit, but in regular normal clothes. Sometimes I shave off the beard so that I can travel around and see who's on the naughty list and who's on the nice list. Nowadays, I still walk around, and elves and other friends at the North Pole ask Santa, "Am I on the nice list, Santa?" But that's because they know that I'm Santa there at the North Pole. Well, we talked about Dasher. We talked about the Reindeer Wish. And that we'll read Laura Ingalls Wilder in just a few moments. Next week, many of you wrote in, and you remember seeing this huge belt. You can see how big it is compared to my face. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Next week we'll do that. We have so much to talk about now. Let me see where I can put my big, it's a huge belt. I don't know if I can put it down safely here. Many of you wrote in and said, what do I wear when I'm flying in the sleigh around the world? And so I thought I would introduce you to Santa's boots. On the inside, they're lined with very warm, insulated leather. They have a long zipper, and it's a very big, big boot. Can you tell how big that is? It's huge. Now Santa has big feet too. I'm a very tall Santa. Can you see how big it is? Is it bigger than my head? It's huge, isn't it? With a solid buckle. It's specially protected against the snow and the slush. And so this is what Santa wears when he walks around the North Pole, and also when I fly in the sleigh. They keep me warm, my big feet warm. I had to have the elves make these specially for Santa. My feet are so large that the elves, the shoemaker, the bootmaker had to come in and measure my big feet to get the size just right. Very, very big boots. Well, here at the North Pole, in Santa's study, I have a number of the things that I wear and that I use when I am Santa here at the North Pole or going around the world on Christmas. I'm going to show you a list that I have. And maybe we'll go in coming weeks and broadcasts, we'll go down this list and let you learn about some of these things. Can you see this? I don't know if I can even. It says Santa's checklist. I check this off in my head and I look at each thing before I walk out of my study and go and make appearances around the world or even fly on Christmas Eve. The first thing I take is my scepter. I don't know if it's here somewhere or not, but I kind of showed it to you last week. That big, tall walking stick that has Rudolph on the top with the red nose, which helps Santa stay on course if Rudolph gets lost in the clouds or the fog. My big belt. Santa needs a big belt to be able to hold his pants up, doesn't he? My pants. My suspenders. I think they're on my pants. My suspenders hold my pants up with my belt. Santa has a belly, doesn't he? So this helps Santa hold his pants up. My hat. Do you see my hat? My bells. I wear bells to let the reindeer know that I'm nearby and to get ready. My boots you just saw. My glasses. And I take a second extra pair with me in case these get blown off from the sleigh. Candy canes. I have a special bag just for candy canes. Mints. No one likes Santa with bad, stinky breath, so I carry mints with me. And every once in a while, I'll have a mint to keep my breath nice and fresh. I take my phone to get messages from Mrs. Claus. I have keys. I have a special comb. It's about that big, just to keep Santa's beard nice and neatly combed. I take water with me. I can get thirsty flying around and walking around. And that's Santa's checklist of all of the things that I have to keep track of before I go out to make appearances all over the world. Oh, it's still snowing. We sure get a lot of snow, but Santa likes it cold. Two stories. I'll read a chapter of the Lord Ingalls Wilder book, but before I do that, many of you have asked Santa to tell stories that are not pretend stories, but that are true stories. Do you remember last week we spoke about Melanie, the little girl who was not well, and she was confined and stuck to a wheelchair. Her mother said that she hadn't talked in a long, long time, but that Santa was her favorite. Do you remember that story? Santa and Melanie went and sat together, and we visited just by holding hands. And then she spoke, and she said, Santa, 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 3 times. And the mother was very, very happy, as was Santa. That's what Santa tries to do. And you can be one of Santa's special helpers if you try to bring a little bit of happiness, a little bit of joy. Be a helper. Don't be selfish. Be nice. Take turns. Be kind. Try your best. And help other people out as well. Can you do that for Santa? Can you do that? And our world will end up, if millions of people around the world do that, our world will be a nicer place, a happier place where we all want to live. So I ask you to be one of Santa's special helpers. You don't have to dress up in a fancy red suit or wear fancy white gloves or wear a hat. You can be incognito and be one of Santa's special helpers by being a kind and loving, helpful young person, or even adults too are able to do this. Thank you for hearing that message. Would you like to hear a little chapter? This is Laura Ingalls Wilder, Christmas Stories. The first chapter, and I don't think there are very many pictures. It's not like Dasher or some of these other stories I've read that are on my YouTube channel where there are beautiful photographs and drawings that I can show you. This is more of a chapter book, which means it has mostly just words. So I invite you to join me as I begin Christmas in the Big Woods. Christmas was coming to the big woods of Wisconsin. That's a state in the United States, where Laura lived with her pa and ma, her older sister Mary, and her baby sister Carrie. So Laura's in between Mary, her older sister, and her baby sister Carrie, and her ma and her pa. Their little log house was almost buried in snow. In the morning when Pa opened the door, there was a wall of snow as high as Laura's head. The days were clear and bright, but it was too cold to play outside. Laura and Mary stood on chairs and looked out the window. Great big, I'm looking to see if there are any big icicles hanging from our windows. I don't see any yet. They were looking to see if there were great big icicles, yes, that hung from the roof of the little log house. The icicles were as fat as the top of Laura's arm. The sunlight made them shine like glass. At the end of every day, Pa came in from the cold with white frost on his mustache and his beard. He stomped the snow from his boots, and he caught Laura up in a bear hug against his big cold coat. Laura loved when Pa picked her up and gave her a big hug. Every night Pa was busy. He was making a special Christmas present for Ma. Pa took one piece of wood and 2 small pieces and whittled them with his knife. He rubbed them with sandpaper and with the palm of his hand. When Laura touched them, they felt soft and smooth as silk. Then Pa took his knife and carved beautiful shapes into the pieces of wood. He cut holes in the shapes of windows, little stars, moons, and circles. All around them, he carved tiny leaves and flowers and birds. When he was finished carving, he put all of the pieces of wood together. Pa had made a shelf for Ma. He hung the shelf carefully on the log wall between the two rows of logs and the windows. Ma placed her little China woman on the shelf. The little China woman, made out of china, had a china bonnet on her head. China curls hung against her china neck. She wore a pale pink china apron over her china dress, and she wore little golden china shoes. She looked beautiful standing on the shelf Pa had just made for Ma. Every day, Ma was busy too. She was making good things to eat for Christmas. She baked bread, and she made special crackers. She cooked a huge pot of baked beans with salt pork and molasses to make them just a little bit sweet. She made pies, and she filled a big jar with cookies. We knew Santa would come to visit us, and we know Santa likes cookies. You know that, don't you? Santa made an appearance this last weekend, and a lot of the children asked Santa what my favorite cookie was so they could leave one out for Santa. I asked them, "What's your favorite?" And I got all kinds of answers. Chocolate chip seemed to be everyone's favorite, but there was a gingerbread and sugar cookies and chocolate cookies, all kinds. Every child who asked Santa, I answered them, "Whatever you leave out for Santa, that cookie will be my favorite." Well, the Ingalls family knew that Santa liked cookies. Every day, Ma was very, very busy, just as Pa had been very busy making her special gift. The jar was filled with cookies. She even let Mary and Laura lick the spoon of the batter. Does your mom or dad or grandma let you do that? One morning, Ma boiled molasses and sugar together until they made a thick syrup. Pa brought in 2 pans of clean white snow from outdoors. Laura and Mary each had a pan. Pa and Ma showed them how to pour the dark molasses syrup in little streams onto the snow that was on their pans. Laura and Mary made circles and curlicues and squiggly things with the dark syrup. The shapes quickly became hard and became candy. Ma said that Laura and Mary could eat 1 piece each. The rest must be saved for Christmas. Ma was doing all of the cooking because Aunt Eliza and Uncle Peter and the cousins, Peter, Alice, and Ella, were supposed to come for Christmas. Laura couldn't wait to see her cousins. She always played with Mary because Mary was the big sister and Carrie was too little to play with yet. And her cousins lived too far away to visit every day. So it was a very special event that they would be coming for Christmas. Laura liked playing with Mary most of the time, but Mary liked to play quiet games. Laura, on the other hand, liked quiet games, but she also liked to run and jump and shout. Laura's cousins liked to run and jump and shout too. That concludes chapter 1. Next week, we'll be reading chapter 2, entitled The Cousins, of the book Laura Ingalls Wilder, Christmas Stories. I hope you enjoyed that. We'll continue that story next week. It's been a short time, although we've had a wonderful visit today. I would invite you to visit Santa's videos and to watch them on YouTube at Santa Jeff Claus, or you can watch them on Santa's Facebook channel, I Believe in Santa, Ho Ho Ho. If you happen to be in the, where will I be? I'll be near the Los Angeles area in California. I'll be appearing there several times up until Christmas. Not incognito. No, Santa will be there in his wonderful red suit with his scepter and his hat and his gloves and his bell and his belt. You can go online and look for the Sawdust Festival. The Sawdust Festival. They have a summer event where all kinds of vendors who make things like pomade for Ma and all of the delicious baked goods and cooked goods that Ma was making for their Christmas. But they have about 150 vendors. Santa will be there. You can come and take pictures with Santa for free. There is a small admission to get into the event, but it's very, very reasonably priced, I believe. You can also look on YouTube or on Google, not only at the Sawdust Festival, but the winter event where Santa will be appearing is called Winter Fantasy. It starts, I think, this Saturday. Santa will arrive about 4:30 or so, and we're going to have a grand opening and tree lighting ceremony. And this is in Laguna Canyon in Southern California. Winter Fantasy. I hope to see you. Come down and tell me that you saw Santa on my YouTube channel. Well, next week, another wonderful, exciting show. I'll pick another item off of the list. Today we saw the boot. Tomorrow maybe we'll see, next week we'll see the belt, maybe something else. I'll read more from the Laura Ingalls Wilder book, and I am sure that Santa will meet some very interesting people at the Sawdust Festival's Winter Fantasy starting this Saturday. It's on Saturdays and Sundays, but not during the week. Every Saturday and Sunday until December 19th. Because it's then that I have to return to the North Pole and get ready and get the sleigh ready for Christmas. Until we meet again next week here on the Visits with Santa videos, or maybe I'll see you in person, which I hope to do, in Orange County at the Laguna Beach Winter Fantasy event. Blessings to you. Remember to be nice, be kind, be helpful, take care of each other, do your chores, maybe do your schoolwork if you're a student. And here's a special one. Use words with others that help, not words that hurt. Until we meet next week or this weekend, Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. Bless you, my friends. Oh, I'll see if I can get out of my couch.